Hi everybody and welcome back. In this video we're going to learn a little bit about hierarchy. So hierarchy is a way of keeping things organized and connecting things together. So to learn a little bit about hierarchy, I've increased my version. I got rid of all my random parts that I had in here, and it's basically an empty project for us to work with here. So don't worry about losing anything. If you've clicked File Save As and increased your version, anything you had in there previously will be there, and this will be just a new empty spot. Alright, so up the top here I'd like you to insert a part into our workspace, and we're going to change the name of this part. So if we click on it, and we're going to call this our me part. Alright, so what I'd like you to do is imagine that this part is yourself. Okay, so a person in the world of the workspace in our game. So we're going to give you a brain. So let's click on the plus next to the me part and add a script, and we call this our brain script. And we'll empty our brain. We don't need the print hello world in there. So we've got an empty brain. Okay, let's come back to our workspace view here. So here you are standing in the world. Now, when we talk about hierarchy, all right, you are a part of the workspace, which is this little world up here. So if I fold this up, you are hidden within the world. Okay, so if you click on the me part, then at the moment your parent is the world up here. But we'll add a couple of things in to make a bit more sense. So click on the workspace itself and then the plus sign next to it. And I'd like you to select folder. So if you don't see folder, click in the search box and start typing folder until you see it, and then click on it. And we insert an object, which is a folder. And we'll change its name now to be parents. Alright, so if we take our me part and move it inside of parents, alright, so now your parents are your parent. Alright, so you're in here and this is your parent. Now your parents' parents, that would be your grandparents. Let's come up to the workspace and add another folder, and we'll call this folder grandparents. And then we can take the parents folder and just left click and drag it inside. So now we have a hierarchy in here. So in the world we have our grandparents, and then below our grandparents we have our parents, and below that we have me. Right, so if you've got this looking like this, come over to our brain script now, and we're going to create a variable to start with to represent the part, or represent yourself here. Okay, so the way we do that is we type the word local. Now local means that think of it as like your neighborhood. So whichever variable we create here, it's only available inside of this brain script. So no other scripts, if there was any others here, could make use of this. So we start with local, and then we create a name for our variable. So we will call this the same thing, so me part, and variable name should represent whatever it is that you are doing within the code, so that the code makes sense when you read it. So we've got a name. Now what we do is we put an equal sign, and this equal sign will take whatever we type next and assign it, whatever it is, a value or whatever it is, to this name over here. So we actually want to get a reference to the me part. So we can start off by typing in script. Now script represents what we are typing in at the moment. Right? You'll see it's a special blue word. And then if we say dot, the script's parent, okay, is the me part. So that's how we represent this part in code. So me equals the script parent. Okay. So underneath this now, let's say we wanted to get access to the parents. All right, we could create a variable called parents, and now we could say script dot parent. All right, so remember we're here, and then this would be dot parent, and then the next parent will be this parent's folder, so dot parent. Okay, and this will be the parents folder. And we'll do the same for the grandparents, and I think you can see where I'm going. So grandparents equals, and it would be script dot parent will be the me part, dot parent will be the parents folder, and dot parent again will be the grandparent. Now this can get very confusing if you write this way. However, there is a different way that you could do it by using the variables we've already created. So we could say, or, we'll put in here, or, a different way to write it might be local parents equals, we'll say me part, because we've already got a variable for it, dot parent. Right, so the me part, we're just moving up one level to get its parent. And we could do the same thing with our grandparents. We could say parents dot parent. Alright? And these things mean the same thing. Alright? This gets a little bit confusing, whereas this is a bit easier to understand. So we can comment out the first couple of examples that we put there, but now we have access to this folder and this folder. Alright? So down the bottom, let's we can say local, and we'll make a big long, what's the parent of grandparents? That's a big long variable name, and you wouldn't normally do that, but let's say we say grandparents dot parent, and let's find out what that is by putting in here print. All right, what's the parent of grandparents? And let's run that, and you'll see grandparents, all right, its parent is the workspace. All right, so down under here we could make a variable and say what's its parent equals, and we can say what this one dot parent. So we'll just see how high we can go, and we'll put in here print what's its parent, and let's run it, and you'll see that we come up to our project. All right, and we'll do one more here to see local, are there more parents? And we can say what's its parent dot parent. Sorry, we want to print are there more parents, and let's run that one, and we get nil. Okay, so this here represents what I said before as game, and then if we go up above, no, there isn't anything above game. Okay, so this is game up the top here. Alright, so that sort of represents how to represent or move up through the hierarchy. So now what we'll do is let's close our brain script, and I'd like you to then click on the brain script, and down in its properties we're going to turn off enabled, which means it won't run anymore, and we can clean up our workspace down here. Right, the other one that we need to talk about is children. Okay, so just in the workspace for now, let's add a script into the workspace, and we'll call this my children script. Alright, so we've got a script in the workspace, so we can create a variable for that, saying my workspace equals, and we can say script.parent. So that gives us access to this. Now we can be looking at objects as children to this part instead of parents. So just put a looking at an object's children. Okay, misspelled looking there. So let's get grandparents for a start. So this will be my workspace, and then grandparents. Whoops, grandparents. So that grandparents is a child of my workspace. And then down below, parents equals grandparents dot parent. Alright, so parents, not parent. So parents are the child of parents, of grandparents, sorry. And finally, me part equals parents dot me part. Alright, that's the only one inside of there. Now, we'll create an example here. Let's say in here, our parents have lots of children. So let's add, say, a few parts, and we're going to say part 1, and we'll change this one to 2, and this one to 3, this one to 4, and this one to 5. And we'll just take all of those. So click the first one, hold shift, and then the last one, and then we can drag this into the parents folder up here. Alright, so let's assume that you are one person amongst 6 children. Okay, in our script, if we want to find you in amongst these children here, we could create a variable called here I am. And we know that we're going to be in the parents folder. So we're going to grab the parents folder, and then we'll add a colon. Now, a colon will connect a method, which is one of these things here, and we want to find first child. And in here, we need to add the name, so me part. Alright, so it's going to grab the parents folder, and then it's going to look through everything that's in the parents folder until it finds something that matches, and if it does, it will put it back over here. So we can say print here, whoops, print here I am. And we can run that. Alright, and it found the part. Alright, so hopefully that has given you a bit of an idea of how .syntax works, how we connect folders and objects together, how we can create variables over here to represent a part or things within the code. Now, it's just to give you an overview at the moment, so if it seems a bit confusing, don't worry too much about it, because once we start using it in our scripts in the future, this will all sort of start to make sense once we start to use it more often. But it's important to get your head around it and sort of understand particularly scripts.parent and how that works. Alright, so we'll leave it there, and we will move on to the next fundamentals lesson, where we will talk a little bit more about variables and data types. So I will see you there.